Shalom, shalom. Before I get started, I want to start off by giving all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Harakah Kodash, Lai Walam Yam. Double honors to my apostles and elders at Great Millstone. Shalom to the elect, the ones out there who are doing this work diligently and chiefly keeping the faith, making your calling and your election sure. The title of this one is called The Lord Loves to Play in the Dirt. And the Spirit jumped on me to do this particular video because all throughout the scriptures, I've noticed how the Lord chose people, who persecuted the church, like Elder Apostle Paul. The publicans, the wicked Sadducees and the Pharisees, they was mad because the Lord sat with publicans and sinners. The Lord chooses the things on this earth, right, that is ignored. The Lord said he chose the base things of the world. He chose the base things to confound the wise, roughly paraphrasing the scriptures. Right now we're in a lower state, right? We're looked at as nothing, but really we're the Lord's chosen people. We go through all this pain, this tribulation, the poverty. We're hated by everybody, but it turns out that we're the Lord's chosen. We're the Lord's favorite people. You can't tell me the Lord don't love to play in the dirt. It's a reference showing that, the Lord don't pick people that's in a high status. The Lord don't pick, celebrities. The Lord don't pick people who are looked at in this world as great. No, he picked the people who are lowly, the ones who are humble. He picked the ones who are humble to be his servants, man. Okay, real talk, man. You're not gonna see, these high-ranking officials or these celebrities in his truth. Nah, the Lord picked the lowly to confound the wise, man. Real talk. Consider Elder Apostle Paul. Elder Apostle Paul is very dark out here, by the way, because it's like a blackout going on in Cleveland. So, but consider Elder Apostle Paul. When Yahweh Shai taught Elder Apostle Paul directly, before he taught him, Elder Apostle Paul persecuted the church. He persecuted the church, man. And Elder Apostle Paul, he knew that he needed to be forgiven for much things that he did. So, he went to work, man. The Lord don't sit with people who think they don't sin. The Lord is not with those who think that they're holier than thou. No, the Lord is with the ones who are in the dirt, man. The Lord is with the ones who are lowly, who are humble, right? Who really need him, who need a physician. If the Lord walked the earth right now, the Lord wouldn't be with these celebrities, man. He wouldn't be with the people of this world. The world would hate the Lord, just like they hated him when he walked the earth. You see? You ain't gonna be you ain't gonna find no super celebrity, no big high-ranking individual in this truth. Nah, man, the Lord, like I said before, he chose the ones who people ignore. He made a prophet out of people. He made a prophet out of a person who majority will ignore. Real talk. The scripture let us know that the poor man wisdom is despised, but it's the same poor man wisdom that can deliver a city, right? The rich man, he's heard more than the poor man, even though the rich man don't got shit to say, even though the rich man can't save his own life, but the poor man wisdom can save a city. You see, people are caught up with materialistic things. They'll look at a person or a pastor and they'll say, oh, the Lord is with that man. Why? Because he got a lot of jewelry and good, the clothing, name brand clothing and things like that. But really, that's paying attention to man in the fleshly eyes, right? In the carnal eyes. Now you got to be looking through the spirit, man, and see what a man is about. It's not about what a man put on. It's about what's inside of that man, the thoughts that conjure up within him. The things that he do once those thoughts conjure up, you see? Real talk, man. Don't think the Lord is coming for the flashy people. Don't think the Lord is with the pastors that dress like pimps. Nah, man. The Lord is with those who are lowly, who are humble. The Lord is with those who know that they are sick, who need a physician. When the Lord returned, right? When the Lord returned, he came on a donkey, man. He didn't have the best garments on. The Lord knew what he was doing. If the Lord came with all them flashy garments on and things like that, and he came on a large horse, the Sadducees and the Pharisees will fake like they worship him. They will fake like they loved him. But the Lord came lowly and humble, so the ones who really had the Spirit, they can identify him. Not the ones who identify what carnal means. No, the Lord came to the humble, to the lowly, the ones who can truly identify who he was in the Spirit. Consider when he asked Peter. Peter knew who the Lord was, you see? But the Sadducees and the Pharisees, they didn't know that the wicked Sadducees and the Pharisees, they didn't know that the Messiah was right in front of them. You see? Because they lacked faith. They lacked faith, man. All right? The Lord is coming back for those who have faith, for those who know that they need healing, for those who know that they are sick, for those who know that they're in the flesh and the flesh can do no good. When you want to do good, the flesh is right there to destroy you, man. That's why we need Yahawashi. I know I'm a filthy man. I know I need cleansing from the Lord. I know I need a new body because the shit that this body wants to do is wicked, man. And I'm fighting to not fall susceptible to the wickedness that my flesh want to do. And it's a fight on a day-to-day basis, and that's the fight that the Lord is going to come and take up off us, man. So when I say the Lord loves to play in the dirt, I mean the Lord loves to choose the things or choose the people who are neglected by the masses. He loves to choose the things who are looked at as lowly and set them on top. Real talk, man. This is not gonna be no long lesson or nothing, but it's straight to the point, man. Trust in the Lord, man, and hold fast to the things that you have right now, because these times that we're in, it's only gonna get worse. And if you don't have a relationship with the Lord, if you don't have a relationship with Yahawashi, you're gonna be put to death. You're gonna be caught up in the race wars. You're gonna be caught up in the class wars. You're gonna be caught up in the darkness. You're gonna be caught up in something. Why? Because you have no protection. All right, you have no protection from the Lord, man. You see? Hey, man, it's about to get dark. It's about to get dark, man. All right? It's about to get so dark. And if you don't got the Lord, you ain't gonna have no light to come and save you. All right? You ain't gonna have no light to see. It's really about to get crazy out here, man. And it's people out that they don't even know what's going on. They got their head under a rock. But it's about to get crazy, and these times is about to test your faith. Look what's going on in the world, man. Look what's going on in the world. Look what's happening. You people on the comment board, y'all don't know what's going on, man. Y'all don't know what's really going on, man. It's about to get fucked up, man. And y'all people still think it's a game. We've been telling y'all for years, starting with our elder apostles on down. We've been telling you for years that these things was coming, that these things was gonna take place, and you didn't believe it. And now it's happening. You see, it's happening, man. And it's only about to get worse. But for the elect, it's only about to get better. As things get worse for the people on the earth, it's going to get better for the Lord's elect. All right, and who are the Lord's elect? Those who have faith in Yahawashi. All right, those who believe in Yahawashi. All right? It's not about titles. It's not about having the flashy garments. It's not about being the best speaker. It's not about learning the precepts. It's not about knowing all the precepts. No, the scripture says those who preach the gospel must live it also. All right? This thing is about faith. And if you don't have that faith in these times when it's about to get dark, hey, you're going to be caught out there. Hey, man, it's going to be some things that can see you in the dark, but you can't see them. Or you can't see it, should I say. All right? In those times, you need Yahweh Shai, man. In those times, you're going to need the Lord. All right? Because really, that's all we have. We don't have nothing else. What else you going to lean on? You can't trust in America. Countries. You can't trust in your bullets. You can't trust in food. What else you going to trust in? Right? When the power go out. When the lights go out. When there's no water running in the sinks. What you going to trust in? You see? Who you going to put your trust in? Jesus? Who you think is going to show up for you, man? You know? I know who's going to show up for me. I believe confidently that the Lord is going to show up for me. Why? Because he's been showing up for me all my life. I can safely say all my life, the Lord has been showing up. It's been several times in my life I knew for a fact that the Lord did it. The Lord brought me through it. I couldn't do it myself. I'm talking about divine intervention took place in my life. So if the Lord showed up for me, you know, in my life, in the past things, then why wouldn't he show up for me in the future? You know, I just have that. You know, I have to give glory to Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh, Bahashim Harakak Kodash Lai Walam Yum. Double honors once again to my apostles and elders at Great Millstone. Shalom once again to the elect of all